Hey, let's talk about love, or putting on love, on Daily Bible Time today. And it's Dominic Steele here for a Thursday morning, and it's great that you're with us today for Daily Bible Time. We are in Colossians chapter 3, and just to get our heads around some context, Colossians 3 verse 1, since you have been raised with the Messiah, seek what is above, where the Messiah is seated at the right hand of God. Now, it's a part of the Bible addressed to people who are Christian. Paul is speaking to people who have been raised with Christ. He's speaking to people who died with Christ, who've had the experience of, sentence 3, laying down their life, of dying, of putting to death themselves, their interests, their ambitions, and people who are, sentence 3, now living for Christ, living with Christ, who are looking forward to appearing with Christ in glory. And as a result, there's been changes in their hearts and minds. They've got their hearts and minds set on the things above, and a whole lot of things being raised with Christ just flows out in meaning. We put off our old self, our old behaviours, and sentences 5 through 11, it's kind of like a butterfly puts off its old worm-like cocoon when the springtime of salvation comes. And what do we put that off? What do we put on? Well, there were 5 things listed. Verse 13, compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. 5 virtues, 5 characteristics, 5 pieces of clothing. And then there's 2 challenges: to bear with one another and to forgive one another. And you see there when you get to verse 13, and actually my misunderstandings about this passage are all caused by not thinking about the context. But you look at verse 13, accepting one another, bearing with one another, and forgiving one another. If anyone has a complaint or a grievance against one another, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Now, up until now, you would have been able to kind of do Colossians 3, in a sense, all on your own. I could see myself in the study thinking, compassionately, putting on these virtues, compassion and kindness and humility and gentleness and patience, and that kind of all works when I'm sitting in the study on my own. But by the time I get to the end of verse 13, I'm in the mucky life of relating to somebody else. Bear with one another. Put up with somebody else. Forgive somebody else. And then as we get to this today, it's really halfway through the sentence in verse 14, and this challenge: over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them together in perfect unity. Now, at one level, putting on love is relatively straightforward. We've been raised with Christ. We put on the distinctive characteristics, the dress of being Christian. And then there's the preeminent characteristic of love. The kind of love sort of superglues all the other characteristics together in some sort of organic unity. But actually, I think there's something else going on, and bigger going on. It's not totally clear what it is to be bound together in those characteristics of life, so that you'll be the perfect, rounded person. Could be, but I think actually better to see, it's more likely to see, it's actually what is being bound together is not so much characteristics that you have, but you and other people. See, as we live together, as we're bound together, as we live together compassionately, as we live together kindly, as we exercise humility in our relationships, as we bear with one another, as we forgive one another, as we put on love, there will be a bond that grows between us. And where will it lead? To completion, to the telos, to perfection, to the end, to the goal. In living like this, we're not just operating as individuals, but as a group. We are being made more complete in Christ. Hope you'll join us tomorrow for Daily Bible Time, and I do hope you'll subscribe. You could do it by going to bit.ly/dailybibletime and subscribing on our YouTube channel.